welcome to another Live Friday where we get to answer all of your questions. So what is our question that we're answering today, Sam?
It's another good one. It's from Claire, and Claire would like to know, what is a day in the life of a VA like? Which is great. It's so good, especially because here we've got freelance virtual assistant's point of view and an agency. Oh, which way? And an agency owner's point of view. So it's fantastic.
Yeah, well, I can start with what it's like to be a virtual assistant agency owner and what my day consists of, and why I'm sort of hesitating. It's like really, really varied depending on what comes up that day. But if I could have a think about maybe like my day yesterday. So my day consists of, so just to give a bit of background, I have an agency. We have 12 New Zealand team members, 5 global team members. We have a mix of employees and contractors. I have quite a few new contractors coming on just in the last couple of weeks with me. So my day has really, like yesterday, if I think about that day, has really consisted of doing a bit more training and induction and answering questions of our new contractor. So she was wanting, so we've handed over a few clients to her now for her to look after and be the lead on. And so she was asking some questions around communicating with the client around budget and how we're going against service plans. So I was explaining how we do that and just giving her some tips and screenshots and how she uses her timer and that sort of stuff. So yeah, really making sure that she's off to a good start. I was doing that over email so that she's got everything documented. And I also have an online course that I created for our contractors so that they can watch videos and see the training on there. But this is sort of a bit of additional stuff. I was really making sure that she knew exactly which clients she's going to do a update on in our chat channel. So every Friday, all of our team update how they're going with clients. And so I was giving her a bit of advice on how to do that, making sure that she had everything set up and ready to go. And so, yeah, my days really consist of making sure that we're delivering really good work, making sure that all of our team members and contractors are all knowing what they need to do and that we're meeting expectations of clients. I have a team leader, so I had a couple of sessions with her. We had just checking in on, how the team are going, what sort of little issues there are. With us all working remotely now, we need to make sure that we're covering all of the phone lines that we answer. So making sure that people are taking breaks at the right time and letting each other know in the chat when they're going to be away from their desk. So there's a bit of communicating with her, making sure that she's on top of that with her team. I was also trying to hire a full-time team member. So we had a team member resign earlier in the week, and I had a team member that used to work for us for years and years. She moved out of the region and had another child. Now she's coming back, been doing contract work with us, and now we get to have her as a full-time employee because now we're all working remotely. It doesn't matter that she's now out of the region. So that's exciting. So I was organizing her contract, making sure that she had all the paperwork and documentation so that she could sign that and get that back to us, which she did yesterday. So I was also communicating with my office manager. We were planning the transition of our team member leaving and our new team member coming on and what we needed to think about in terms of subscriptions, whether we're going to wait until one left before we added another subscription to our monthly bill for all of our tills, and how we can manage that transition. Also how we manage getting the iMac that we have with our team member here up to Tauranga with our new team member and when we would do that. So talking to their team leader as well. So I have 2 team leaders in the business. So it's a lot of coordinating resources, capacity planning, making sure that team members are communicating properly. Just a lot of on Zoom, a lot of chat, a lot of emails, just coordinating and making sure that everything is running smoothly and being on top of that. So quite full on.
Yeah.
It's quite a busy time at the moment. I also would have had conversations with a sales manager. So she updates me on what leads are coming in. She asks me questions around like who's going to be the best person, who has the capacity available for, you know, putting in the proposal and talking to that lead about who it might be that they get assigned to. So just coordinating a bit of that as well. So yeah, a lot of monitoring and coordinating all sorts of things. So my role at the moment is quite like operations manager, HR manager type role. And I'm just working on bringing my team leader up to speed to take over some of those ops type things so that she can become the operations manager. So yeah, just coordinating all day long.
So coordination, communication, and I'd imagine like a lot of the time it has to be quite reactive. Like if you've got your teammates kind of just calling you out of the blue, you can't not be taking that call, can you?
Yeah, absolutely. Quite a lot is chat. So we have a chat tool, Teamwork, that we use for all of our tasks and all of our chat. And so there's quite a lot of communication back and forwards in there because it's quite fast. But quite a lot of WhatsApp voice messages too. We try not to email much if we can help it. But yeah, and then phone calls as always. Yeah. But the interesting thing is, even though I'm doing all of that coordinating, that doesn't mean that I can never go away on leave or I can have time in the day where I go off to appointments or do other things. So yesterday I went to the gym. I do an hour with a personal trainer. And so I went off and did that and came back. My team are actually really self-sufficient and I could go away for a whole month. As long as I set up a few things and we weren't hiring or anything like that during that month, then I could actually set everything up, set everyone going and not have to work for a month. So that's the benefit of being an agency owner.
Yeah.
You would have noticed that in all of that, I never said that I was doing any client work. That's because all of my team do all the client work. So I've made that conscious choice to never say, as much as possible, a few little things sneak in here and there, never say yes for me to do any of the work. So my sales manager knows that. So she just makes sure that she's selling things that all of our team members can take care of.
Phew. Yeah. And that was just yesterday. My goodness.
How about you, Sam, as a freelancer?
Yeah. So I'm not going to go into yesterday because at the moment I've got a finger in a few pies, which most of you know. So if I was to go back, I'm going to go back in time, say 6 months, and give you a day 6 months ago when all of my time was just on my freelance virtual assistant business. It's really interesting. It's such a good question though, because when I was kind of thinking about an average day to share with you guys, it's made me realize just how much my business and my time and I have grown since I first started out. So, a day in my life 5 years ago in my business as a virtual assistant is completely different to what it was, 12 months down the track, 2 years down the track, 6 months ago and now. And that's the great thing about being a virtual assistant, and I think especially a freelance virtual assistant. As your circumstances changed, so I started off when my kids were still at home, preschool, one was a baby. So to start with, it was very much time blocking. So I would be working when the baby was napping. So obviously I've got a lot more time now, he's at kindy, than I did 5 years ago. But even though my circumstances have changed, even though my days are completely different to what they were 5 years ago, I've always tried to kind of block out my time really consistently, so I know exactly what I'm doing, no matter what time of day it is. It doesn't always work that way. Life happens, and you get thrown a curveball, and you have to kind of drop everything and react. But generally I time block, which works out really well for me. So if we were to go back 6 months ago, a day in my virtual assistant freelance life would be getting up with the kids, getting them breakfast, lunches made, off to school, get back to the house at about 9. If I would feel like it, maybe a little bit of a workout if I hadn't walked the kids to school, and then straight at my desk. And I'd always know exactly what it was that I was going to be working on. So I purposely never go on social media first thing, because if you go on social media first thing, that's your day then gone. So I like to check my emails. I check my emails twice a day. So 9 o'clock that's normally the first thing I do, is check my emails, reply to anything that's come in since 2 o'clock the previous day, because that's the other time I check my emails. Outside of those hours, I try to close it down so I'm not being reactive. So emails, replying to any new leads. If I'm doing any client catch-ups, that's normally the thing that I would do next. I'd book those in the morning, next thing on my list. And then client work. So whatever project or ongoing client that I'm working for, that would be the next thing. Break for lunch, bit more client work after lunch. And then the last thing I do before picking up the kids from school at 2:30, 3 o'clock would be my social media, my marketing. If I hadn't had the time maybe at the weekend to schedule everything out for the week, then I'd make sure that would be the last thing that I would do that day. And hopping in any networking groups, any online networking groups that I belong to, I would try and do that last thing in the afternoon as well. That's it, really.
When would you manage your leads, like all the inquiries that you have coming in?
So in the morning.
Oh, so you do that straight away?
That's the first thing I do. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that takes, a little bit. Sometimes you need to be strategic with that. You want to be on your game. If you're ringing someone back, hey, I've got most of my energy in the mornings, so that's when I come across the happiest and friendliest and with the most energy. So I do all that first thing in the morning for sure. Never in the afternoon, because I'm just a nightmare in the afternoon. You won't get anything out of me.
And you're probably rushing by the afternoon to make sure that you hit the deadline of picking kids up from school too, eh? So
yeah, I mean, for me, 2 o'clock comes round, and then that's it. I have got one eye on the clock that I need to be out the door by 2:30, so I don't, I'm not late to picking anyone up.
Yeah, I love that you talked about quite a bit there, you planning your day and you not doing reactive stuff, but you're doing the proactive stuff where you're actually delivering the client work. And yeah, that's awesome, which is completely different to my days. My days are very reactive to whatever gets thrown my way and I have to deal with, so that everything keeps running. Yeah. But very different for my team. They are not doing so much reactive stuff where they're actually planning their day and what they've got on their tasks, and when payroll needs to be processed for a client and that sort of stuff. And obviously reactive stuff comes in as well, where tasks will get, sent in from clients at any time of the day and overnight. So we allow all of our clients to message us whenever's convenient for them. They just know that we're going to pick those things up and respond or action them when we start work in the morning. So yeah,
awesome. Isn't that interesting? 2 completely different day in the life of.
Absolutely, yeah. All right. Hopefully that's answered that question, because I know that as a new VA, it can be quite daunting to wonder like what your day is actually going to be like and what a virtual assistant is like. And I think something really important is that you actually get to curate your virtual assistant business, your life, your day, how you want it to run. So Sam and I are great examples of this, where we've actually created the businesses that work for us, that meet our whys and deliver us what we need, and completely different paths by choice. So yeah, you all have the choice to figure out what your day is going to look like, what you want your business to look like, how many hours you're going to work, what type of work you're going to do. You're all in complete control of that. So it's pretty exciting.
It is. And the fact that it is as flexible as you want it to be, like that can change. It can change incredibly as your circumstances do. That's what I love about this industry. It's fantastic. So hopefully that helps, Claire. If you've got any other questions, just let us know if we haven't covered anything.
Sounds great. And if anyone is really interested in fast tracking their launch of their business, or their growth in their business and wants to figure out the best tools, the best way, what the very next step is, what stage you're at, what you need to do now, absolutely check out the Members Club. It is the best value, I think, on the internet for virtual assistants wanting to access a bunch of information to figure out exactly what stage they're at and what their next step is. Plus, you also get Sam and I as your coaches to ask any questions. We go into a lot of depth. We're available on email and on any sort of messenger tool to answer any questions that we have of our members. And they really take advantage of that, which is amazing. Some of them, they get a little stuck trying to figure out, like, what should I do in this situation? Where do I go to from here? Can you point me in the right direction? Can you give me some advice? Can you review something for me? Like, they might have put together a flyer or their packages or their website. And so we do reviews of those. So if you're really wanting to jump into a really tight-knit community filled with really motivated, amazing virtual assistants that are at all sorts of stages in their virtual assistant journey, then please do check it out. We've got the link just below this video.
Yeah, it's amazing. We've got such an incredible bunch in there right now. It's fantastic.
Right. Thanks, everyone. Have an amazing weekend. We'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.